Every now and then there comes along a game that's just downright nasty, and not the good kind of nasty either, friends. These are games that cross the line of no return, and contain content that just isn't really acceptable. Kinda makes you feel dirty. The majority of the games on this list for the most part are disturbing, offensive, and flat out tasteless. And trust me guys, there's other games that are just way more worth your time than these on this list. We primarily steered away from survival horror games, primarily because, well, they're meant to disturb you anyway, and start with games that trigger more than just bad nightmares. With that in mind, let's jump into our list of the top 10 video games you shouldn't play. Number 10 is Playboy the Mansion. Let's start off this list with a nice serving of disappointment. A simulation game from 2005, Playboy the Mansion puts you in the shoes of Hugh Hefner, building your empire from scratch and hooking up with lots of ladies in the process. Which sounds great and appealing, except for the fact that it's an awful game, and the nudity isn't even worth it. There's just so many other games that offer adult content out there that actually have solid game mechanics and an interesting plot. One critic said of this game, "I flipped on the game expecting a world of champagne, roses, and frequent wisps of steam. Instead, I got an immediate request that I construct an office on the mansion's upper floor." Yeah, disappointing. Moving on to some more uncomfortable games here, but definitely on the tamer end of the spectrum of this list. And at number 9 is Custer's Revenge. Custer's Revenge is an Atari 2600 game by Mystique that features General Custer, a real-life general who was ambushed and killed, taking his revenge for his death by raping a Native American woman. And yes, there's 8-bit nudity, which made it highly controversial at the time for being pornographic. To add insult to injury, the game is just poorly developed, and is considered one of the worst video games ever made. Up next, number 8 is Dead or Alive Extreme 3 VR. The most recent game on this list stirring up controversy, this VR game, as some critics have opinionated, went from creepy to harassment. There's a mode that allows players to harass the women in the game, to the point where your advancements get reactions of discomfort from them, and the women shoo you away. Yet they're pretty much powerless in terms of actually getting you to stop gazing at them. And you can also continually touch the women in the game, who then verbally protest against it. Yeah, kinda iffy there on that content. Rather than just being a peeping Tom like in previous games, this game took things to the next level, which left many people feeling uncomfortable. No consent. Remember friends, consent is sexy. Up next at number 7 is Super Columbine Massacre RPG. Based off the Columbine Massacre, this game created by Danny Ladonne received a lot of negative reviews, primarily for trivializing the actions of the murderers and the lives of the victims. And yes, if you haven't figured it out by now, it is based off the Columbine shooting. Others saw it as an impactful commentary, which went on to spawn the argument of video games as art, with Ladonne being a bit of a poster boy for the cause. Regardless, the game is still incredibly uncomfortable for many to play, especially those who have witnessed or been victimized by gun violence. Getting into some more disturbing territory here, at number 6 we have I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. A point-and-click adventure, this game is based off of a short story written by Harlan Ellison. During the Cold War, huge underground complexes containing a supercomputer were built by the USA, the USSR, and China. These computers merged into a sentient AI, named AM, who wiped out almost all of humanity, except for 5 humans who had tortured over a century. After 109 years of torture, AM decides to devise a quest for each containing ethical dilemmas that deal with either insanity, rape, paranoia, or genocide. Disturbing and nightmarish, it received mixed reviews. Still something you don't want to play before bed though. Up next, number 5 is E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Alright, let's take a little detour away from the disturbing and talk about a game that you shouldn't play because it's utter garbage. So much so that Atari treated it as such, by disposing of all existing copies they could get their hands on and burying them in a desert. Ah yes, the 1982 E.T. the Extraterrestrial. This game has been cited to be one of the many causes of the video game industry crisis in 1983, when it appeared that the video game industry was going to crumble entirely. The amount of unsold copies of the game, along with the horrible reception the game received, led to Atari losing millions of dollars, and being sold and divided in 1984. Up next, number 4 is The Maiden Rape Assault, Violent Semen Inferno. Yep, that's the title, for real. Unfortunately, getting back to the topic of rape, The Maiden Rape Assault is a game where the player character performs some sexually explicit stuff, including forcing himself on a woman, a complete stranger, on her wedding day, and several other women too. Most reviews online about this game range from, well, this game is idiotic, while others ironically rave about its comedic impact, with some saying the only good thing about this game is its name. I mean, Semen and Inferno, it just a lot of graphic imagery there. Up next, number 3 is Battle Raper. Made by Japanese developer Illusion, who has a track record for releasing games of a certain tasteless degree, Battle Raper is pretty much exactly how it sounds. A hand-to-hand combat fighting game in which you face off against females who, in battle, lose their clothes and take damage via sexually explicit grapple attacks. So yeah, you're essentially raping or assaulting them into submission. There's also a feature that lets you freely molest the female characters in the game. One critic called it humiliation humiliation, rape, and degradation, all wrapped up in one package of shame. That's not only a shit fighting game, but a sick idea as well. Sounds pretty spot on. Up next, number 2 is Rape-Lay. Another game from Illusion here. We've mentioned Rape-Lay in a few of our other videos. But for those of you not in the know, it's a game in which you play a man who is seeking revenge by raping a woman and her 2 daughters. It's pretty f***ed up. One of the daughters spots you assaulting a woman on the train, and after she calls the police, you go after her and her family, stalking them, assaulting them, and eventually raping them. Amazon banned it from being sold. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of negative reviews and press it's received since its release. And finally, in our number 1 spot is Ethnic Cleansing. The title kinda says it all for this game. You play a white nationalist in this first-person shooter, either a neo-Nazi, a skinhead, or a Klansman, and you run through a ghetto and shoot African Americans, Latinos, and lastly Jews. As you can imagine, many of the portrayals in the game are incredibly offensive, using art assets and sound effects that are racial stereotypes. According to the National Alliance chairman William Pierce, the developer of the game, a couple thousand of copies were sold within a month of its release, and 90% of the consumers were white teenage boys. Ouch. I mean, just play Grand Theft Auto instead, guys. Alright, there we have it, friends. Which of these games has you disturbed or feeling gross? Let us know in those comments below. And if none of these games triggered you, tell us why. Of course, we've got to remember that these are just games and not real life. But there is the odd person out there who is deeply impacted by the media around them. With that being said, thanks for watching. If you're looking for a pick-me-up after all those games, why not check out our most popular uploads playlist? Or head on over to our channel and see what other fun gaming vids we've recently uploaded. And if you dug this video, hit those like and subscribe buttons while you're at it. In the meantime, I've been Kelly Pally, and this has been Top 10 Gaming. I'll catch you guys in the next one.